Yo, what's up guys, it's Trader X one more time coming to you from Soweto. Alright, so I'm just gonna be building on the lesson that I actually taught you the last time, right? Remember the lesson about starting your day with an edge, right? I have here the Australian dollar Canadian dollar pair open. I'll explain to you why, because this is a perfect example that I want to concentrate on in order for me to be able to teach you what I'm to show you what I'm actually trying to teach you. So remember guys, we discussed the edge and how to find it. I strongly suggest, to save your time though, right? I strongly suggest that you use an app. Try to find an app that is free. A lot of people in the app store actually developed such apps, and and kudos to them because they're giving us vital information that we actually need. But nonetheless, so now the edge, I've discussed that. Now I'm going to be discussing basic structure, right? Basic structure, not really basic structure, but price structure, right? I've realized that a lot of traders who call themselves price action traders more often do not understand this concept, and it's quite an easy and straightforward concept, right? And I'm going to explain to you guys in a minute about that edge once I'm done with it. Or rather, let me just jump into that. That starting your day with an edge actually gives you an advantage. Basically, it gives you, for lack of a better word, it gives you an advantage. It prepares you into knowing what's going to happen in advance, basically, right? So what I normally do is I couple that with what I'm going to show you now in order for me to be able to make better trades. Right? There's a whole lot of things that I still need to show you, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Right? So remember, I trade the daily chart, right? So on the app itself, the Strong Weak Currency app, what I normally do is I concentrate only on the weekly side of things, or on the weekly time frame on the app itself, right? So I depend on it to tell me which currency pair is strong on a weekly basis, not on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. That way I can be able to trade my daily charts based on the weekly bias. You understand what I mean? You need to have a higher time frame bias before you can trade a lower time frame. So for instance, if you're going to be trading the hourly chart, you need to have a bias on the 4-hour chart that you're going to be following in order for you to be able to make profits on the hourly chart. You understand what I mean? And for any other smaller time frames, I do not recommend trading the smaller time frames, but that's completely up to you. And if it works for you, kudos, man. Make your paper, man. You know what I mean? So I concentrate on the weekly chart and the daily chart. So for instance, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, right? I'm looking at the weekly. The app says to me it's actually strong, right? Australian dollar is strong against Canadian dollar. So I now know that my bias is going to be Australian dollar. So I'm going to be bullish on Australian dollar, right? And this is where everything is. You're right. This is where I'm bullish or I'm bearish actually comes from. It comes from, knowing the edge, knowing which currency pair is strong and knowing which currency pair is weak, basically. So here we go. So now I know that I am bullish on Australian dollar and I'm bearish on the CAD, right? So the CAD is weak, basically. So I know it's not going to stand in my way when I buy this particular currency pair or when I institute a buy here, right? So now, like I said, that's one part of the bigger picture. So my next bigger picture would actually be structure. A lot of price action, so-called price action traders get this completely wrong. Completely wrong, right? I look at structure. I depend on price to break its previous structure before I can make any decisions. All right, so let me jump into that for those who just don't understand what I'm actually talking about. So as we see here, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar has been going down, basically. We can see that previous swing high is up there. Ooh, that black is ugly. Let me just change that real quick. Nope. Where's my green? So we can see that's a swing high right there, right? And this is a swing low, as we can see, basically, right? So now we know that previously this currency pair was in a downtrend, right? And now with every trend, we need to identify two things for it to be deemed a trend. Basically, we need to identify higher highs, higher lows if it's an uptrend, and if it's a downtrend, we need lower lows and lower highs, right? So in this case, we can easily see the higher lows, the lower highs rather. We can easily see where price paused and it formed a higher low. We can clearly see, as I've marked here with my green boxes, we can clearly see where price came to a rest, right? So let me just maximize that real quickly. And I don't need to mention that all of these are the lower lows. I don't need to mention that because I believe that we can all see that. These are the lower lows. These are the lower lows. See, so higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low, higher low, until it got to this last low that it formed down here, right? So great stuff. Now with structure, what you need to be cognizant of is the formation of those higher, those lower highs, right? Where's the swing? The swing is way up there. Okay, so you need to be aware of these lower highs that price forms, right? The reason you need to be aware of those is because that's where price forms structure. Understand me and hear me now. This is where price formed structure, right? So say for instance, we are looking at, remember now with the app, let me just also mention this. The app that shows you how strong or how weak a currency pair is basically gives you information for the now. It doesn't give you information for what happened last week or whatever the case is. It doesn't give you that information. It gives you information for the now, meaning what it gives you is what you need to trade. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So say for instance, as you see, we've come from a downtrend right now. So the app should have or would have said to you that Australian dollar is actually weak, right? But now, as you can see, it looks like price is starting to transition right now. It's starting to, or Australian dollar is starting to appreciate against the Canadian dollar, right? So the app in turn should say to you that Australian dollar is actually strong against Canadian dollar. If you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So you can't use this information to trade. You can't use this information for what happened previously. You need to use it for what happens now. You know what I mean? You need to use it for what happens now. But how are you going to use that information? We now know that Australian dollar is strong. How are we going to identify that, it's still going to continue being strong, or how are we going to enter, or whatever the case is? That is actually quite simple. This is where structure comes in, right? I'm just going to show you structure. I'm not going to show you anything else because, like I said, I want to make sure that this video is actually quite too small so that you can watch it in your convenient time. It doesn't take up a whole lot of your time, right? So remember I had mentioned to you that you need to be aware of, the higher lows that price sets as it goes down, and the opposite can be said with the higher highs, right, when it's in an uptrend. So you need to be aware of all of these higher lows that price actually sets as it makes its way all the way down to here. Got it? Let me just make this thicker for you guys so you can see it. So price made its way all the way down there, and that is our support line, right? So that is our support line. Fantastic. Now we see that price has started to move in an upward trajectory. This suggests to us that price is starting to turn, but we can't say that for certain yet. The reason we can't say that for certain yet is because price needs to break its previous structure in order for us to be able to say, okay, we are in an uptrend right now, or our price is reversing right now, right? So this is where I always tell people, do not try to call tops and bottoms because you will get it wrong. A lot of traders fail when it comes to this part here. People just cannot wait long enough for price to transition first and give them the right kind of situation for them to be able to trade. You know what I mean? So people just can't wait. Let me just to put this into perspective. This red candle here that touches the support line is the last candle that it actually formed, right? So let's just see how long it has been since that candle. So we're easily looking at 20 days. It's been 20 days and I'm still waiting for price to show me where it wants to go. For now, I still consider this a downtrend, right? Let me explain to you why I still consider this a downtrend. Remember, I mentioned to you that price needs to break structure first before I can say, okay, price is in an uptrend. Right. This is where all of those those lower highs that I mentioned to you come into play, right? Because that's where price formed structure, right? Where price pulls back as it makes its way down. Where price pulls back as it makes its way down. Where price pulls back as it makes its way down, like this here, as it pulls back like that, right? Though that is where it forms structure, right? If you're wondering why I did not include this, I will explain that in the next video, not now. I don't want to confuse you. As price pulls back, right, and it forms a high like that, and it's on its way down, that is structure, right? Where price finds rest, that is structure. In this case, this arrow here just next to the green box, previous structure is right there. That is previous structure. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. That is previous structure. So we're not going to care about what price did on the left, or let's say anything on the left prior to this. Yeah, on anything on the left of this vertical line. We don't care about that, right? So we're looking purely at structure right now. We're just looking at purely structure, right? So the first structure, or the last structure that price formed, was at this high here until this low down here. That is the last time the price printed a higher high and a lower high and a lower low, and then from then on in it started transitioning. Right now, if you're asking, okay, but what you are saying is hogwash because there's this here, there's pullbacks here, and there's all of that there. Like I said, you need price to break structure first, right, before you can actually say or comfortably say I'm in an uptrend. I would not trade this, all of this in this green box. I would not trade it until I would not trade it really. I'd only institute trades once price breaks this resistance here. Until price makes that support, that's the only time that I'm going to trade. Now, you need to be, like I said, remember when I said you need to be cognizant of all of these levels, is because of this. Once price gets to this level here, you can't just automatically assume that price is going to go up. You need to wait for price. You need to wait to see what price actually says to you. If price breaks that level to the upside, what you can only do is wait for price to come back and test that resistance line, turn it into support before you can take a trade. And that is the only time that you will know that price, or we are now in an uptrend. Provided that price hasn't broken this resistance here, we're still in a downtrend. If you understand what I'm trying to say. For all we know, a red candle could print right after this current candle here to the downside, a big red candle. And that would basically say to me, this is a continuation. And this is where people get it wrong. A lot of people that call themselves price action traders, this is where they get it wrong. They don't look at structure. You know what I mean? They see price do this here, and they assume, okay, no, price has just found a bottom down here. This is a bottom. This is where people that call bottoms, tops and bottoms, always get it wrong. They just assume, okay, price just found a bottom here, and I can clearly see that it is going up. To some degree, you will be right. right? But what if it turns? Remember, you need to put yourself in a position where your trade will actually work out. So you need to tilt the odds in your favor. You know what I mean? So shooting in the dark. This is a short in the dark for me. This is completely a short in the dark. The reason for that is, like I said, I have to wait for price to show me what it wants to do. If price says to me, I'm about to break here, then I know I'm going to be looking for a breakout trade, right? So I need price to break this high or break this resistance line. Once it breaks the resistance line, I want it to come back and test this former resistance line and turn it into support. Once it turns it into support, I wait for my signal. I can either wait for my signal at the lesser time frame, which is the 4-hour time frame, or I wait for it at the daily chart. It doesn't really matter, basically. And that is the only time that I'm going to be buying. Right now, this could be a fake out. While everyone is busy going, this is actually a reversal. That could be, this could very well be a fake out. You understand what I mean? To catch people out and to catch all those people that have pending orders at that 0.94460 level. What time is it? It's been 16 minutes. You know what I mean? That could very well be a fake out. And price could just be ready to move all the way down and start to make even extreme lows from where it is. How are you able to tell this? A lot of people they don't anticipate what price is actually going to do, right? They participate in the move. All of this move up here, from down here to up here, could just very well be a pullback and an impulsive pullback at that. We don't know that. See what I mean? So you need to look at structure. Forms are powerful. Structure for me is powerful. Once price breaks its own structure, then I know that I'm in an uptrend or a downtrend, whichever, vice versa, basically. If it finds resistance or support at that previous structure level, then I know that this is going to be a continuation. And that's how you can easily tell whether price is reversing or whether price is going to be a continuation. If price breaks here, I can comfortably tell you right now, if price breaks this level right now, I am going to be taking this trade live, and I'll post it on the Facebook group as well as on YouTube, so that you can be able to see what I was actually talking about. But if I do get a bearish candle right at this level today or tomorrow, then I know that it's time to revise not really my strategy, but my stance. Then I know it's going to be a continuation to the downside. You know what I mean? But however, though, to make things a little bit more, so say for instance, this now breaks out, right? This current trade, delete. Let's say it breaks out. Where's your next target? Your next target is the previous structure from that. A lot of people suffer from greed when it comes to this. When it comes to this, hear me now. A lot of people suffer from greed. When you're trading the smaller time frames to the daily chart, obviously the number of pips are going to be smaller than what I would be collecting on the daily chart, the 4-hour chart, the weekly chart, on the monthly chart, if you understand what I'm trying to say. If you're on the 15-minute chart and you see a setup like this, chances are the pips in between the structure here, let me just move my green box, the structure here where you're supposed to be taking your profit, between, I'm going to call it your entry and your exit, between your entry and your exit is going to be way more less than, the pips are going to be way more less than what I would be collecting if I was on the daily chart. You understand what I'm trying to say? And this is the cause for people to actually fall into, not really fall into it, but to become greedy. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? This is where people become greedy. You need to understand, look, like I said to you, structure is important to price. Price always finds its way back to its previous structure. And when it gets to its previous structure, it makes decisions. It makes decisions whether it's going to break out or whether it's going to reverse from there. You can understand what I'm trying to say? So therefore, when you get greedy, let's say for instance, the next target would be, I'm not counting this one, the next target would be up here, right? The next target would actually be up there. Now, if you're someone who's greedy, right, and you enter at that level there, your first target should be here, right? It should be here. Your secondary target should be up there, right? But like I said, if you're trading the 15-minute chart or the 5-minute chart, and the pips in between your entry, which is down here, to your target would actually be small, right? And therefore greed will start to take over you, and you'll start to move your take profit to, say, the second target, which is up here. And once you move it up there, only to find that when price gets up here, it consolidates. After it consolidates, it shoots all the way down. It shoots all the way down, therefore taking your profits with it, only to go hit your stop loss, because you would still have hope. You'd still be hoping that your second target is the it. What I always advise people is, you need to take what the market is giving you. And that is the secret to making a consistent profit and how you will become profitable. You need to take what the market is giving you. For instance, I would be taking my target, I'm going to just say first here. That's the first target, right? For instance, I would be taking my target here. Once I get out here, remember, I now know that once price gets to previous structure, decisions need to be made. It either needs to reverse, or it either needs to continue on its way up or down, whichever the case is, right? If it continues its way up, there will be signals. I will get more signals here after it broke my first target. I will get more signals suggesting that price is ready to move. And once it is ready to move, I will jump on it. I will jump on it, and I will take profit at my second target. You get me? So I will exit at my first target. Let me just mark it here. Let me just say entry here. You need to hear me, guys. You need to hear me. This is critical. So I will take my entry here, right? And I will get out at my first target. The reason for that is because I do not want price reversing on me. I want price to give me my full profits and I'm out. And then I will wait right at the first target, and then I will wait for a signal, and then I will enter here with a target at my second level. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, guys? So it's pointless for you to enter here and then be like, I'm going to wait for my second target. Your second target may not come. Unfortunately, that's just how it actually works. Your second target may not come. So you need to be smart with your stuff. You know what I mean? Take profit. Do not ever be like, let me just wait and see what's going to happen. Now you're at your first target and you're like, let me just wait and see what's going to happen here. You know what I mean? And let me see if I'm going to get a continuation candle or continuation pattern or whatever the case is. Do not take those chances. Once you take those chances, you're starting to gamble. You know what I mean? You are starting to gamble. That is now that you're transitioning from being a trader to being a gambler. So take your profit at your first target. Wait to see what happens at your first target. If price says to you, boy, I'm about to reverse here, you know it is going to respect that level, because that's previous structure where price was. Buyers and sellers are hanging out there. So they're looking, they're just hanging out there. You know what I mean? So that's what you need to be cognizant of. So once you know which currency pair is strong or which currency pair is weak, and you pair them together, now you need to look at the structure of that particular currency pair. It doesn't matter which time frame that you're trading, right? So say for instance we add Australian dollar USD, Australian dollar CAD, and you're trading the 30-minute chart. It doesn't matter whether you're at the 30-minute chart or whatever. Just identify your previous structure. And remember to always get out at your previous structure, right? Like we did here. Get out at the previous structure, because price will go up there, but it might find problems. You don't want to deal with might. You know what I mean? Once you get to your first target, take a profit you're good. Now, once you combine that, the knowing which currency pair is weak and which currency pair is strong, together with your structure, do you now see that trading becomes easy and you do not need any indicators? You know what I mean? All you need to do is you need to identify your previous trend, or the previous, you need to identify the previous trend. If the previous trend was upward, you go ahead and you mark your higher highs. You understand what I'm trying to say? You mark or your pullbacks, where it pulls back and it finds resistance or support. That is where you mark that high or that low, because that is structure. Remember, structure is when the sellers or the buyers come in at any time to kind of like, how can I say it? Yeah, well, when the buyers or the sellers are coming in contrary to where, you know, price is actually going. So if it's in a downtrend, the buyers start coming in. Yeah, they do come in, they influence price, but eventually, you know, price continues on its way down. To make it easy, let's just say pullbacks. Wherever there's a pullback, that is structure. You need to be aware of that structure. Now, guys, as you see here, this candle is slowly creeping up to, you know, previous structure here. Like I said, I'm going to wait for it to actually break. So I might just follow it on the 4-hour chart. So this candle here, which is going to close at about 12 o'clock in this afternoon, if it breaks and it closes above, round about here, above this level, I'm going to be looking at buying this currency pair. When I buy it, like I said, my target is going to be at the first zone here. So I would be looking at, give or take, 151 pips at the daily chart. Remember, I trade the daily chart, right? My entries, I could make them based on the 4-hour or sometimes based on the hourly chart. It will depend on the situation. But in this case, I don't need the hourly chart. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to need the hourly chart, and I'm about to step out now. So I'll look at the 4-hour chart. So you see, trading does not have to be difficult at all, guys. Remember, identify which currency pair is strong, which currency pair is weak. Also identify previous structure and stick to it. Take what the market gives you. Do not be greedy. Anyway, guys, thank you once again for watching. I really need to step out. It's been 27 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this lesson as much as I like making it. Remember to smash that subscribe button, and also hit the notifications button as well if you want to be notified whenever I upload a video. So the next video is going to be a little bit more intricate in terms of how to identify tops. I know I normally tell people not to ever call tops or bottoms, right? But I will show you a way that you can be able to do that safely, right? Without, you know, killing your own pockets. But I'll show you that, as well as some candlestick formations, basically, which are going to help you in your trading. But anyway, guys, thanks once again for the support. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as I mentioned, as well as the notification button. You'll get notifications whenever I upload a video. And also remember, you can ask me any questions, right, in the videos. Comment below with any question. I'll gladly be able to answer it. If you want me to touch on a subject, by all means do that. I'll touch on it as well. Otherwise, it's been 28 minutes now. It's been good, guys. I'm about to step out now. So adios.